everybody, thanks for watching my video. I'm with Tim Jackson today. How are you doing, Tim?
Very well, very happy to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Friday, so the weekend is almost there.
It's a good thing.
Exactly.
Very good thing.
Always a good thing. Yeah, we're in London Bridge. Thanks for your time. I know you're busy as well. Next week, we're both speaking at the Market Force event in London about social media in financial services, a topic I love. And you've been very involved on that topic in the last a bit more than a year at Unum. So could you please introduce yourself, what are your key responsibilities, and then we'll talk about your social media strategy.
Okay, so a brief history of Tim. So for the last year or so I've been the head of marketing strategy for Unum. Unum's a specialist insurer. We kind of core thing is group income protection. We also do life insurance and a couple of other things as well. But group income protection needs a lot of unlocking to get real growth. There's a big growth opportunity, probably 90% lack of cover in the UK. But in order to unlock that growth, we've got to do a bit of education. First to the average consumer on the street, but also employers who are kind of the heart of the actual purchase cycle.
And the advisors.
Yeah, absolutely, the advisors.
The brokers.
But it's really at the employee level, the average man on the street, we've got to do the most work. So we've launched a campaign to build awareness very much at the employee level. And I'm running that, so that's my priority.
Okay, so how important is social media? We know it could be a very efficient way and cost-effective way, if you do it well, to educate the market, to improve brand awareness. So what's your key goal with social media?
Well, this is actually really interesting. So it's much more around the product category and education on the product category than it is around our brand. Okay. Our brand's a secondary kind of consideration, but the biggest thing is that we've got a real challenge with income protection. It's a product which people have never heard of, for a need they've never considered, and we as a company, because we normally sell B2B, it's a company that they've never heard of. So we've got quite a strong marketing challenge. We need to explain to the average employee that this is a really important thing that they should be doing. They should be insured. So we need to explain this to them and educate them about what the product is, why they need it, why it's a great backup plan. So they can then go to their employer, ask for it and expect it to be part of their benefits. Now that's actually a lot to say, and we can go on TV, and we've got some TV ads that get us a lot of scale and peak attention. You can only say so much in 30 seconds. So actually the end call to action of all our TV advertising is go online and find out more. Because it's the only place you can tell the longer form story. And that's a combination of regular, just digital website stuff, but also specifically social. And social, what the job that does for us within the wider campaign is, first it allows us to interact, so we can actually get an understanding of how people start to understand it. But it also facilitates sharing, of course it does. So you can get that broader and quicker spread than a pure website.
It's very clear. Thanks a lot. Yeah. You said a word I really loved, actually, call to action. This is usually one of the key weaknesses of most campaigns, marketing, digital, and social as well. We do something, but we don't really know where we'd like to redirect people. So I like that term very much in social media. I use it 10 times, 20 times a day. Yeah. When you said education, right, one of the initiatives you have, you've got many in the social media landscape, let's say, but you've got Ask Unum,
yes.
So which is a blog, and you've got also a presence in other channels like Twitter. So we're live here, so orange juice, yes, for tea,
yes,
and coffee here. So could you please talk us through that, the Ask Unum initiative? And then I'll ask questions about who contributes, who owns it within the organization, and so on.
So that we kind of staged our social media development. Previously, the company had never done anything in social media. And in fact, we've done very little of consumer-facing contact other than talking to our claimants.
That is worldwide, or that is in the UK mainly?
That's actually predominantly worldwide. The UK is very much leading the company's use of social media. But in the UK, very much so, we've practically done nothing. So we needed to do two things. One, we need to start open ourselves up, and the first step for us is to create our own wholly owned kind of semi-social space. So it's Ask Unum, it's a wholly owned set of pages with blog functionality, but also with Q&A functionality, so people can submit questions to us. We can go and find out the right technical answer or appropriate pieces of guidance, and then we pre-moderate and post answers onto the site. So it's designed for what we kind of call prosumers, so the most advanced consumers who can maybe thought about financial planning, maybe have heard a few things about income protection, but don't necessarily know what it is, to start the conversation. But as I say, it's pre-moderated, so it helps us also manage potential risks. We're an insurance business, of course, and we of course have a risk mindset, and on social media it always carries a certain degree of reputation risk. But with that semi-social space that's pre-moderated, we can also manage the company's steps, kind of dipping the toe into the water.
Concerns, expectations, everything, and educate them as well. Yeah.
And that then facilitated, it set us up to be able to do stuff like Facebook, which is a much more open and obviously not a pre-moderated space. But we had to do kind of ask Unum step to begin with to allow us to kind of move into the
no, again, fascinating actually. I've always said on a blog, corporate blog, it's mainly a blog, you've got download sections, so it's and there are 3 key sections on your Ask Unum, which match what you just told me like a few minutes ago. Employees, advisors, so brokers and employers as well, so I think it's consistent, of course, with your strategy. But what I like is pre-moderated, which means that the risk is almost zero, and you're also very present on Twitter with Ask Unum. And again, Twitter is not a destination site, so nobody can, do anything on your Twitter account except if you get hacked, but that's another issue. And I've always said it's good thing, it's the best thing which can happen to a brand. At least you have to quickly understand how it works and correct the situation. And so anyway, but you're on Twitter though. You've got roughly like 300-400 followers.
373.
74 now, I think. But anyway,
yes.
And you're following pretty much the double, which is one of the ways to try to gain momentum. And what is your strategy there? You're trying to engage in discussions. Do you send a lot of direct messages? Is it mainly public or private? The way you use it?
To a certain degree. I mean, it's open to everyone, of course it is. And I suppose if you'd asked me, 9 months ago, we probably would have expected a little bit more consumer interaction there. But actually, the way it's evolved for us and the way it's working best for us is almost like a kind of professional place to connect. So connect with key journalists, connect with advisors, brokers, and connect with other key influencers, so people like Money Magpie who've got relationships with kind of PR and online space. We can also connect with them and keep a constant flow and feed of what we've got to say, and also listening to what they've got to say. So it's more like a kind of professional way to distribute content and connect content between people, as much as it is about kind of distributing the message more broadly into the average consumer. So it's actually more of a kind of a useful bridging tool for us to keep connected with key influencers.
So it's more influencer management, like a brand/PR. So it's interesting, but at first you envision that as more B2, potentially B2C, right? Or
Sure.
Interesting.
It could well have evolved that way. And I think it's been interesting how Twitter itself has evolved in general to be a surprisingly professionally orientated platform, connecting influencers. Instead of, it's the kind of platform where you don't find teenagers. It's not teenagers whittering on about stupid stuff.
Not at all.
It doesn't happen. They actually shun it. So it's an interesting way that Twitter develops.
Again, great point. I've always said B2B is more important, or the opportunity is huge for B2B brands. And in insurance and investment, or commercial banking, dealing with intermediaries and brokers, nobody really did it well over the last 4 or 5 years in social media. If you're the company which managed to do that, which give them easier information to products to sell, if you give them opportunities to shine, if you give them leads, fantastic opportunity to gain market shares, and that's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so how many people, if you can share that with us, how many people are in charge of community management or producing content on Twitter, for instance?
Well, as of today, we have 3 people essentially managing, one person managing a whole of our Ask Unum place, and then a couple of people either supporting or managing Facebook space. But we've just recruited someone to take over all of that in one place and bring it in-house. So when we first started, we didn't actually have one full-time equivalent role, but now the pages have become big enough and active enough for it to make complete sense for us to bring that in-house, but we'll still have very strong relationships with the agencies who work with us on our total campaign, and it's at the heart of our total campaign, so we'll continue very close relationships with our PR agencies, and we currently run our team and with our creative agency, of course, for content streams on Facebook. So.
Okay. So social media, there'll be one FTE for one person doing it in your team, so that belongs to strategic marketing,
Yes.
correct? Yes. Whereas you can potentially touch everything from product to brand to corporate communications, but
Indeed.
that's centralized there, you own it, yeah?
That's the heart of it, and the primary purpose for us of social media is marketing. We do some customer service aspects to it, but that's kind of on an ad hoc basis when they come in through our team. But the primary goal is marketing messaging and communications as a platform. So yeah, it makes sense for it to sit in marketing going. Yeah, that may change in the future. That might evolve. That's the beauty of social media and digital, is it changes.
Live and learn, yeah? It would be interesting to see the impact in the US next year, by the end of the year, because of what you did in the UK and how successful you are, but we'll see. Okay, there's two things as well. There's ownership, so who owns it, who's like coordinating everything. The second is content producing. For instance, if you check your blog or the Ask Unum, I believe sometimes there's guest contributors, or again, what's your strategy there? I mean, is it guests like professionals from the company specialized in the product with the product knowledge, and or is it like a guest from outside Unum, and on which basis do you invite them?
It's actually both. So we recently had some contributions from our head of patient rehabilitation, who has a really interesting story to tell about how we manage a claimant, how we help a claimant recover from serious illness, serious injury, to come back and get back to work, which is a great set of stories, but it's also something that's interesting to people who haven't necessarily experienced it before and wondering how the product works in reality. Similarly, our head of medical underwriting did a piece on how you come to a conclusion about medical conditions that can be covered and not consulted, which are some of the things that we've had a lot of questions on through our question and answer submission. So by listening to what is mattering to people, we've brought in
great specialist
expert contributions internally, but also externally as well. So we are a regulated business. We can give information, but we can't give advice. But we can have a guest blogger in who is themselves an independent financial advisor, regulated advisor, who can give an opinion on the quality of products and why it's good, bad, and different for you. So we've had him come in and make some explanations of why income protection is great, but from the words of someone who's independent and doesn't have skin in the game like we do. Similarly, we've had some guest bloggers from other kind of financially orientated sites, again giving their external opinions to the product, the category, why it's useful, what it's useful for. So we're trying to get a combination of third-party credibility to the story that we're trying to tell, which again is not a brand story. It's a product category story, why you need it, why it's a great backup, and so on. But also to give a little bit of the insights through of how we work.
You mentioned the word stories quite a bit. I believe you love stories at Unum. I saw that on your Facebook page, and you've got a section, I guess, where there's lots of stories, yeah? Yep. Which makes me talk about Facebook now, yeah? And your homepage. Let's be crazy, let's talk about both, right?
Yep.
When you reach your homepage in the UK, you've got quite a bit social media presence, or at least you're promoting Facebook, Twitter, Ask Unum, of course, so it's quite big there, which is good. And in particular, one thing which is the backup plan initiative or angle, right? And you've got at least two Facebook pages, maybe more. One is the corporate page, Unum, which roughly 600, 700 likes. And then you've got the backup plan with 14,000, more than, you'll give me the exact number, I'm sure.
14,275, yes.
Well, exactly, yeah. So more than 14, perfect, I'm testing you there. More than 14,000 likes, as you rightly said, yeah? So could you please talk us through that, actually, the value of that specific campaign, and if a corporate brand can have like a sizable community following the corporate page, basically, yeah? That's an interesting one, yeah?
The corporate page is a group page, and it's something that represents the company in the call service. And a lot of people who are going to be liking it, going to be getting involved with it, are employees. And I think social media has a great role for employee communications per se. More LinkedIn perhaps than Facebook, but there is a role for social media.
And careers as well, jobs,
exactly.
and recruitment.
But comparatively speaking, that's probably a less role, certainly in Facebook. And I think one would set expectations that our campaign-orientated page should be and is bigger. And remember, our campaign, as I say, is about explaining why income protection is a great backup plan more than it is about why Unum is a great company. Unum is a great company, but the story we're trying to tell is explain the product in really simple consumer-facing terms. So our page is very much orientated towards the campaign, and the campaign is explaining why income protection is a great backup plan. So the whole nature of that page is wrapped around the campaign specifically, and the brand is comparatively secondary, in the top corner, and so it is Unum talking, but it's all about income protection, and we're telling that story, what it is, how you get it, and why it's good for you in really simple, plain English terms. I think that's a really important thing for the insurance industry to try and do.
Again, thank you. You've touched something very important to me. Until then, I loved every single word you use now. You mentioned the word I'm a bit skeptical when you touch this social media. It's campaign, and it's good you said it. So can you? Social media is about long-term engagement, not short-term engagement or campaigns.
Yep.
But here it's more strategy, I guess, than just a campaign. Yep. Could you please share your views on that? Actually, the importance of engaging in the long run, because you build communities around one specific topic. But what if, next year there's another campaign, another focus? You don't want just to lose, that community and not engage with them or stop, suddenly. So, what's your perspective on that, actually, for the backup plan Facebook page, for instance? What's the future?
I think there's a couple of things here. The first is that our campaign, quote unquote, is 3 years at minimum. We're trying to completely change the total market. Now we're market leaders in group income protection. We have 50% market share, but nevertheless, we're trying to move the whole market, not just ours. And that will take time. We need to change the mindsets of the average employee to start to value something they've never thought about before, but also to change the minds of employers and so on. So we have a quotes campaign that will last for years. And that itself, I think, explains exactly, as you're saying, this is a strategic campaign, not a short-term promotion. In that respect. I think it's part of the value of building a community. It's going to be different from building a community with some other, maybe more consumer-orientated brands, where it's a lot of what's going on is loving the brand. But I think the role of and value of building a community around something as unusual as, frankly, disability protection, disability insurance, is getting other people to recognise that it's a popular thing. The very fact that there's something growing more popular and has other people who are interested in it itself builds momentum. So we're trying to normalise income protection as part of the standard benefits package that you get at work, as the kind of thing you get. It's something you have, it's something you should have, it's something people need. The more people see that other people have got it, or are involved in it, or interested in it, or engaged in it, the better. So I think part of the value of the community, the long-term value of the page and the scale of it, is simply people seeing that other people are getting it, which is a good thing. In terms of keeping that community alive, we want to stimulate conversation, we want to stimulate shares. Our expectations are going to be different from, for example, work I've done previously with Bailey's brand in GB. The UK page, I think, is over 1 million people now, so it's huge, but it's the kind of brand people want to engage in. You put a post up about recipes and you'll get 50 responses, loads of sharing and likes. Now, we're talking about an insurance company, but a long-term insurance product that most people, thankfully, don't have to claim it. So the degrees of engagement, I suppose, we set our expectations different in the degree of community of interest that's going to be built around it. But the more that we can get sharing and discussion about the topic, the easier it will be to talk about it. So it's going to be, again, a long-term process of building that community and building that interaction and building that sharing. But like I say, I suppose that in the final conclusion, the very fact there are a large number of people, not a small number of people, who are interested enough to like our page, to come to the page, read the stuff and think it's good enough and interesting enough actually to want to click the button. I find it's really special.
Yeah.
And we haven't used false likes. If you want to read our stuff, you don't have to like our page. So every one of those 14,500 likes, give or take, are people who are actually engaged.
So again, I love interviewing you, Tim. I must admit, that's a very interesting topic or a point because it's quite easy to gather loads of likes or via sweepstakes and all those kind of good stuff, give away cinema tickets, sporting events, whatever tickets, etc. So it's very easy. You're saying for that one, you haven't used really any of those, like I said, cheap but easy ways to build sizable communities quickly. You haven't done that yet. Not really, not with those strong mechanisms. Or okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've promoted the page in a number of ways. It's
fair enough.
I'm not journey, and we've used media to get people through the page, but you can see any of the content without liking it.
Okay.
The very fact that people are liking it is a real, genuine engagement. It itself is not just a measure of scale, but a measure of engagement.
Okay. Oh, it's just fascinating. Yeah. The things I like. What was the goal of that then? To have people share what they like and create some kind of music, customized music or song? Am I correct?
Yeah, so part of the joy and the interest in social media is trying new things and trying things to do things a little bit differently. But at the centre of the insight sitting behind that application was to say that actually part of what you're protecting when you insure your income is the ability to still spend money on the little things that make life better. And it can be medium-sized things like your Sky TV subscription, or it can be just little treats for you on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. If your income isn't protected, what you stand to lose is all of that. The safety net, for example, benefits and other savings and other sources of income in the situation they're pretty limited. So it's very hard to have a reasonable lifestyle, a reasonable quality of life if things go wrong. So we wanted to kind of gently and softly, in a nice and entertaining way, just remind people of what matters to them, what makes life better. So we used that as the kind of core insight, and then built around it an idea of kind of setting it to music, make it shareable, to try and pique the interest of people who've never thought about this problem before from their friends. Okay. So that was the kind of core set.
How successful was it?
Moderately, I would say. So I think it might have been better with a different soundtrack. There's a few things we can optimise to make it work. But we definitely got some engagement with some journalists overdoing it, which is always a good thing.
Okay, congratulations, yeah.
And part of social media is trying things differently.
You try, sometimes you fail, and you learn all the time anyway. So, and it's true when I say get hacked on Twitter. Yes, no, it will force you to quickly understand how it works. But anyway,
exactly.
So yeah, fantastic. Yeah, you talked about the importance of starting internally, with managing your own assets and minimizing the risk. We know it's scary sometimes. It's important to say you've got guidelines, well built. I must say, like it's quite simple on Facebook, but then it's clear. Don't be abusive. That could be removed, and don't sell product. I mean, it's nice, and it's important to have that to be able to moderate comments and remove them if needed. What are your key goals and KPIs? Can you talk about success? What the ROI of social? How can you convince internally that Facebook and Twitter, for instance, is good? What's the impact on the business? In a nutshell.
I've done a lot of work with measurement, evaluation, and marketing. I've done it from a finance point of view, and now I do it from a kind of marketing point of view. And the one thing I would say is that a lot of stuff is talked about how you can assign sales to marketing lever X and marketing lever Y, and sometimes that's true. In our situation, we are trying to persuade people to decide that they like the idea of income protection, then go to their employer and persuade their employer that it's a good thing to have in their benefits package, who are then going to come to brokers and advisors who are then going to come to us for a quote, broadly speaking. That's a pretty long chain of causation, but it's a chain of causation that has to happen. This is the change we're trying to make. What that means is the activity that we do up front to engage the average man on the street, it's going to have a long lag time to any sale. And there's going to be a lot of interference between all that stuff we do up front and the actual method of sales. So for our campaign as a whole, we are assessing success on the basis of are we changing people's minds along that path. So those are our kind of success measures for the campaign as a whole. But that's actually really important. We assess the value of the campaign So, we're getting scale from TV, but TV isn't taking the whole story.
No.
We're getting engagement from social media, but we don't get scale. So, we're doing a lot of groundwork with PR. Everything is an integrated program to tell the story. So I evaluate the program in total on the basis of, are we changing people's minds?
Yeah. So not just social media there, TV
So
there.
I'm not going to
whole...
say social media has given us 20,000 widgets of sales and TV's given us 80,000 widgets of sales, therefore the value of social media.
Yeah.
Because if someone in our situation came to us and told us that they could do it, it's nonsense. They couldn't do it. So we evaluate the campaign in total. We have one budget, one cross-agency team. We work as a group. We do one thing with the campaign. Each individual component, I measure its efficiency. So is it doing the best job that it could do at the part of the job we're trying to do? So in social media, are we getting engagement, but also are we getting spread, shares? Are we developing the quality of engagement, not just the quantity? So yes, scale is useful for us, and actually the number of likes matters because it's a real like, it's real engagement. But we're also monitoring the kind of degrees of interaction we get with different types of posts, different types of content, more shareability versus not. Let's stop doing what's not working as well. Let's start doing what is working as well. But that's more about kind of efficiency of the individual channel. We do the same thing with our PR. We do the same thing with our TV. We do the same thing with each and every component that we have. So my assumption, therefore, is if I get all the components to be working as best they can, the total campaign.
Okay.
And then, assuming you've got the insight right and you've got the planning right.
Of course. But internally, there's no problem. I mean, you've got the commitment or the understanding from the management, and that's good. It's quite rare.
And we've had a lot of involvement from the top down. So our CEO is very heavily involved. He knows what we're doing. The board of directors for the UK company is strongly supportive of the campaign, and that it needs to be a multi-year campaign. This is not something we're going to do for results this quarter. It's something we're going to do to build the business. A core part of that strategy. So that top senior management buy-in is really, really important. Marketing, game-changing marketing.
You don't have to spend too much time internally then evangelizing that and convincing the top management of the insurance.
Not as much as I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
We did have to do a lot of careful planning around risk management to begin with, and that's why we kind of followed the stepwise process that we did in terms of introducing social media. And we are continually demonstrating the kind of scale and efficiency metrics. And we have a very clear program of research-based KPIs. We've got all that stuff in place to prove continuous development of that program.
Okay, well, interesting. Thanks for your time. We're going to wrap it up soon. A few things. You said you recruited someone recently, or you will. So, internally, externally, which kind of person are you recruiting? Someone with social media experience? What's the?
So I think
from an agency or from?
No, he's most recently worked in the education sector, running kind of community Facebook pages, that kind of thing. And also has some copywriting experience, including for a small part of BBC comedy. So he's got good kind of light tone of voice touch, which is great, really important for certain parts of our campaign. And just a very down-to-earth guy, and that's really important. I think in our case, it's really easy for the people within the industry to use industry speak and to have a kind of corporate writing style, and to forget that you're having conversations with people. And the way you have a conversation with people is you have a chat. I don't sit here and I talk about, well, with regards to blah blah blah. I say, well, in terms of
the tone is important. Yeah, tone of voice.
So, those are the kind of characteristics we're looking for more actually necessarily than direct social experience.
Okay, very good. And what do you think? The last question. What do you think of timeline on Facebook? Because you still haven't switched. You're waiting for the 30th of March, like myself.
We have it in plan. My very next meeting will be to look at where we're going with it, and we're done. It is what it is. It's probably more useful for a brand-orientated piece of work. So if you're trying to put, for example, brand heritage into your site at the moment, as I say, we're very much kind of campaign backup plan orientated. So we'll probably use it in a slightly different way. It's in plan. It'll happen.
Sooner than later, actually. We've got 10 days.
As long as consumers themselves, for their profiles, use it to manage their own privacy and so on, I think they'll be fine.
I will make it work anyway, that's the spirit, I guess. But Tim, now thanks a lot for your time, it was really useful. Next week, so Market Force, it's going to be a pleasure to be maybe sitting next to you in one of the panels. So thanks a lot and good luck to Unum and your social media strategy. Yeah. Thank you. AXA Bank vient d'annoncer le lancement de son API, de son API bancaire, et donc l'ouverture et l'accès à ces fameuses données sensibles et clients à des éditeurs tiers, à des partenaires, donc qui peuvent être des entreprises spécialisées dans le online ou mobile, petites entreprises potentiellement, des entreprises qui donc auront survécu le processus de sélection et donc des entreprises qui sont jugées potentiellement comme apporteurs de valeur pour les clients donc de AXA Bank. C'est intéressant de voir que les banques, donc, depuis quelque temps déjà, étudient cette possibilité quant à ouvrir et donner accès à leurs données de manière très sécurisée via donc, des kits SDK ou des API bancaires. Mais peu de banques ont franchi le pas au niveau mondial. Donc ça fait plaisir de voir d'ailleurs des banques françaises qui se situent donc en tant que pionnières dans ce domaine qui est de plus en plus indispensable. En effet, les banques n'ont pas la capacité forcément à innover, surtout sur ces domaines donc très pointus qui demandent des qualités ou une expertise très précise au niveau du mobile, au niveau de la banque en ligne. Donc c'est très intéressant de voir que ces banques admettent leur incapacité à innover de manière constante et admettent les limites de leur connaissance et ou de leur expertise quant à développer donc de manière rapide et fournir la meilleure expérience client à leurs utilisateurs de banque en ligne ou banque sur mobile. Donc fantastique thème et démarche. AXA Bank donc, a lancé cela aujourd'hui de manière officielle. C'est assez différent du positionnement de Crédit Agricole, qui donc via la Fédération nationale a lancé le CA-Store, CA Store, ce Crédit Agricole Store, il y a à peu près 2 mois. En effet, la différence majeure, la base est la même, hein, donc ouvrir les données bancaires, utiliser donc une application très sécurisée et avoir un processus de sélection donc, des partenaires. Cependant, le Crédit Agricole se démarque car, fier et fidèle à ses valeurs depuis la date de création, le Crédit Agricole décide non seulement donc d'inviter des éditeurs ou des sociétés à intervenir et à créer des applications, mais le statut de cet engagement, donc via une coopérative digitale, est tout à fait unique. Et encore une fois, fidèle aux valeurs du Crédit Agricole. Donc cet aspect est très intéressant, sachant que toutes ces sociétés qui rejoindront la coopérative auront droit à la parole et pourront donc impacter les développements futurs de cet écosystème et donc de cette entité. Donc, coopérative digitale, d'accord. AXA Bank, donc, qui a l'air de fournir et de créer une sorte d'App Store et d'écosystème plus classique, un peu comme Apple donc, et l'App Store, avec donc, un processus de sélection également. Mais AXA a décidé d'utiliser une autre carte au niveau de la promotion notamment, dans la mesure où la banque va organiser et a annoncé donc le lancement d'un concours et de la première édition du concours. Donc on peut imaginer que le concours sera potentiellement annuel, où donc AXA Bank invite des éditeurs tiers, des sociétés donc, intéressées par le projet, à soumettre leurs idées d'application, d'accord. Et le gagnant se verra remettre donc une récompense de 50 000 €. D'accord. Donc c'est tout dans le reward, donc dans la récompense, car pour les deux initiatives évidemment, ce qui va conditionner le succès, c'est la capacité à motiver donc et à recruter ses partenaires, c'est-à-dire donc le business model, le revenue model sera très important également. Okay. Est-ce que c'était attractif pour ces sociétés de venir contribuer, investir du temps, de l'argent et donc fournir ces applications, d'accord. Donc, moralité, plusieurs points seront déterminants. Non seulement le caractère innovant, et c'est bien d'être associé à cette démarche très innovante, mais également donc, le parc, si j'ose dire, établi de clients ou d'utilisateurs. Et AXA Bank compare difficilement évidemment avec Crédit Agricole, eu égard à la taille de ces institutions financières. Crédit Agricole, par exemple, a déjà entre 300 et 500 000 utilisateurs actifs et mensuels de leur application mobile Mon Budget, qui a été la base, si j'ose dire, de l'API et du kit SDK. Right? Donc on va voir un petit peu comment les choses vont évoluer. Ce sont deux initiatives, encore une fois, très intéressantes, Mais le succès donc résidera dans leur capacité à attirer donc des sociétés et à créer des applications innovantes. Ensuite, est-ce que leurs clients seront réceptifs? Est-ce que les clients utiliseront ces applications? Et est-ce que les clients sont prêts à payer pour ces applications et ainsi financer les investissements, encore une fois en temps, argent, intelligence, des partenaires? Car les deux banques voient évidemment cela comme, non pas comme une façon de gagner de l'argent, comme une source de revenus, mais de changer la perception de la marque, d'être vu de manière plus innovante, d'améliorer la satisfaction client, et évidemment, in fine, ils l'espèrent, l'effet de bord, d'attirer plus de clients, et en tout cas de retenir leurs clients, de leur faire passer plus de temps sur la banque en ligne ou la banque sur mobile. Voilà, écoutez, qu'en pensez-vous donc de l'ouverture bancaire, des API bancaires? Pensez-vous que demain toutes les banques auront donc une telle API ou une API peut-être universelle? Donc j'attends vos commentaires sur Facebook, Twitter ou sur le blog. Écoutez, c'était Christophe Langlois, Visible Banking, London UK.